Words of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, never forget the goal, never stop aspiring, never halt in your progress, and you're sure to succeed. Power of success, the power of those who know how to continue their effort. It is not enough to try, you must succeed. One must never try for the sake of succeeding. Whatever circumstances is given to you, make the best use of it in line with the truth. To take advantage of it is quite different. All success depends upon the measure of your truth. Success depends entirely on the sincerity. Success in supramental works, the result of patient labor and a perfect consecration. Spiritual success is the conscious union with the divine. With my love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother from the collective works of our Divine Mother. Question and Answers, Volume 7, page 16. Question, Sweet Mother. It happens sometimes that one gets ideas all on a sudden. From where do they come and how do they act in the head? For this, our Divine Mother says, from where they come? From the mental atmosphere. Why do they come? You may meet them on the way as you meet a passerby on a public place. Most often it is that. You happen to be on a route where ideas circulate. You fall upon this idea or that which then passes through your head. Evidently, people who are accustomed to meditation and concentration, to whom intellectual problems have quite a concrete and tangible reality, draw together concomitant ideas by the concentration of their mind, and a company of ideas is formed which they organize so as to solve a problem or to clarify a question. But for that, one must be accustomed to mental concentration and have a philosophical spirit. The ideas are then living entities having their own life, and you organize them on the mental chessboard like pawns in a game of chess. You take them, move them, arrange them, organize them. You have a coherent whole with the ideas which are independent, individual entities having affinities among themselves and organizing themselves according to their own inner laws. But for that, you must have the habit of meditation, reflection, analysis, deduction, and mental organization. Otherwise, if you live as they come, then it is absolutely as if you were in a public place. There are roads, and on the roads, individuals come and go. And if you are at the crossways, you catch what is passing along. Sometimes even you catch ideas that have no relation to each other. So much so that if you were to write down what passes by your head, you would make an admirable cock and bull story. Our Divine Mother says, we said once upon a time that one could usefully try a little game, namely to ask someone suddenly, what are you thinking of? Very rarely will he be able to answer clearly. I was just thinking of this thing. If he answers in this way, you will have the proof that he is a reflective person. Otherwise, the usual spontaneous answer is, I don't know. On you have done physical exercises in an ordered and organized way, know, for example, the different muscles that must be moved to produce a particular movement, the best way of moving them, and how to obtain the maximum effect with the maximum or the minimum loss of energy. Well, it is the same thing with regard to a thought. If you train yourself methodically, a time comes when you can follow a reasoning in the most objective way as one would project an image on a screen. Our Divine Mother says you are able to deduce one idea from another and follow the normal, logical, organized line of argument with the minimum loss of time from the beginning of the argument to its conclusion. Once you have the habit of doing that, as you have the habit of moving your muscles in a logical way, as they must have to move to obtain a given result, when then they have clear thinking. Otherwise, the moments of thought, intellectual moments, remain vague, imprecise, floating. Suddenly, something comes up. One doesn't know why. Another thing comes to contradict it. That also one doesn't know why. And when you try to organize your thoughts clearly so as to note exactly the relation of one idea to another, the first time that you do it, you get a nice headache. You have the impression that you are groping for your way in a very dark virgin forest. The speculative mind needs discipline to develop it, and if you do not discipline it methodically, you live in the clouds as it were. It is this that happens to the majority of human beings who are able to lodge in their head the most contrary ideas without being troubled in the least. If you do not make an effort to organize clearly your head, you run at least the risk of no control over your thoughts. Besides, often you have to come down to action before you can begin to note the value of what you think. Or, if it is not to action, at least to your feelings, you have to come down. You perceive suddenly that you have feelings that are not quite desirable, and then you find out that you do not know all how to control. You do not know at all how to control your thought. Next question, sweet mother. Do people have bad thoughts because they have no mastery over the mind? For this, our Divine Mother says, there may be many reasons, indeed, there are many reasons. It may be the result of a bad nature. If these people themselves have ugly feelings, these ugly feelings may be the cause of ugly thoughts, or it is the contrary. Perhaps they are open to all kinds of suggestions coming from outside. These suggestions enter into them and gradually produce bad feelings, and then they get into a struggle precisely because they are not master of themselves. When these influences rise to the surface, instead of controlling them and refusing them that are undesirable, people allow them to enter as they like. The doors are wide open. You are bathing in all kinds of things, good, bad, indifferent, luminous, dark, all that is there. But the consciousness of each should act as a filter. You must receive nothing that you do not want to receive. You must think nothing that you do not want to think. And above all, you must not allow the thoughts to change into feelings and actions without a formal sanction. After all, that is the fundamental reason for physical existence. Each person is an instrument for controlling a certain set of vibrations which represents his own field of work. Each one should receive only those that conform to the divine law and refuse the rest. But there is not one in 1,000 who does that. One does a little of it, more or less consciously, by the friction and pressure of circumstances and the environment. But as for doing it voluntarily, certainly there are very few who are capable of doing it, and it's not sufficient to do it voluntarily. You will do it in the right way with the true consciousness, which is still more exceptional. Control over one's thoughts. Who has control over his thoughts? Only he who has trained himself to that, who has endeavored for it from his childhood. The entire scale is there, beginning from the total absence of control and the immense majority of people who are harassed by thoughts which they cannot get rid of and which possess them literally, nor have they the power to close the door of the active consciousness to these thoughts. It is the thoughts that govern them, dominate them, not by their thoughts. One hears everybody complaining, oh, this thought is all the real coming to me again and again. I'm unable to get rid of it. And then they are assailed by all sorts of things, from anxiety to bad will. Fear, thoughts that express fear are most harassing. You try to send them away, they come back like rubber and fall upon you. Who is it that has control over his thought? It requires years of labor, and that is a such great habit. Next, to come to this thing which is not complete control yet, but already a step in advance, namely, to be capable of removing all movements in the head, as if with the back of your hand you put aside the vibrations and the surface of the mind becomes smooth. Everything stops. It looks like as if it's like a book that opens on a white page, almost a material whiteness, white. Try a little in yourself, you will see it is interesting. Then one can follow in one's head the place where there is the small point that dances. I have seen Sri Aurobindo doing it in the head of someone who precisely complained of being harassed by ideas. It was as if his hand came, seized the little dark point that was dancing gently as one takes an insect from one's fingers and threw it away, and then that's all, it's finished. Everything became immobile, tranquil, luminous. I've also seen a person who came to Sri Aurobindo with an acute pain and said, oh, I have a pain here. He said nothing. A lot said nothing. He kept silent. He was looking at the person. I saw something like a hand, a subtle physical that came, took hold of the little point that was dancing disorderly and took it and threw it. There, everything went on well. The person explained, oh, but my pain is gone. These are the words of our Divine Mother.
Hamlet and village saw the fate vanish past. Hordes of life bent to the soil it ploughed. For sustenance of its short and passing day, that transient keep their hold repeated course, unchanging in the circle of a sky which alters not above our